Hey y'all, welcome back to Red the Wire. Well, it's finally here. Travers Day is upon us. And in conjunction with that, there is a great pick six with 5 grade 1s in it, anchored by the Travers Stakes. So we're going to look at the Travers first, and then we'll look at the pick six ticket afterwards, so stick around for that. So let's take a look at the Travers. Okay, the Travers Stakes is a grade 1 run on the dirt at a mile and a quarter for 3-year-olds. And it's the 12th race on Saturday's card, and it's the anchor to the pick six ticket. Number 1 is Forte. Needs no introduction at this point. He is the best 3-year-old in my opinion. He's done nothing wrong. The only problems he's had are human ones, as we know. The Jim Dandy, he wasn't tuned up all the way, and he still ran a pretty big race. Got his career high buyer. We'd all been waiting for him to run a big race, and he did. And he, again, wasn't tuned up all the way. I fully expect he's going to run an excellent race in the Travers. And using the cheater blinkers last time put him up a little closer to the pace. And I think that's going to be really important in this race, particularly since there's National Treasure is going to be the lone speed, I believe. And this will put him right off. Will give him first jump with some of the later runners. So, in my opinion, this is a 2-horse race, and Forte's one of them. We'll get to the other one in a second. But I really like Forte's chances, and he's the best 3-year-old until proven otherwise. Might happen on the Travers, but he's definitely one of the top 2. Number 2 is Archangelo, and there's been a lot of talk about this horse, and since he won the Belmont. And I don't want to take anything away from the training job that Jana Antonucci did. She did an excellent job with this horse. But let's remember a couple of things. If you go back and take a look at that race, first of all, this horse benefited from a couple of things. Number 1, there wasn't a lot of pace in the race. Number 2, he rated right off of it on the rail, saving all the ground. And number 3, the rail was open in the stretch, took advantage of it, and won the race. Now, if you note that in particular, all the other horses were getting to him in the stretch. Forte, Tapit Trice, there was a cavalry charge. They were all closing in on him late. It doesn't look like as dominating an effort as perhaps we want to believe it was. In fact, it was more of a win of convenience, in my opinion, than it was a dominating effort. Does this horse have talent? Yes. When you improve by leaps and bounds every single start like that, you definitely have talent. Is it possible this one can take another move forward? Of course. It's certainly possible, but I really don't like the fact this horse doesn't have a prep race between the Belmont and the Travers. That is just going to be lingering with me. And Jenna Antonucci, while being a nice trainer, isn't one I have that kind of confidence in that I can say, oh, don't worry about it. Jenna knows what she's doing. She is a good trainer, but if it was Chad Brown, I'd be like, no problem, because that's what he does. So I have some reservations about Archangelo in this race, and for those reasons, I'm not going to use. Nor am I going to use number 3, Tapit Trice, everybody's favorite Enigma. We have talked this horse to death. Everybody has, and as I've noted previously, I'm tired of talking about him. Why? He has been a repeated disappointment. Ever since the Bluegrass Stakes, he won that. He disappointed in the Derby. He disappointed in the Belmont. Everybody thought the Belmont was going to be his race, and he made a nice move on the back stretch, but he didn't build on it. Flattened out. Then he started running again to get up for 3rd. Make of that what you will. It was a disappointing race. The Haskell track didn't set up well for him at all. We knew that going in, so I'm not going to hold that too much against him. And they obviously were trying to keep him away from Forte, so that's understood. But the bottom line is this horse doesn't know how to win. He just doesn't understand why he's running. And even the presence of blinkers, I don't think is going to improve that. Now, I've heard a lot about he's training great with blinkers. He always trains great. He was training great before the Belmont. He was training great before the Derby. What happened? Okay? I have lost all confidence in this horse. Is it possible that he could win this race and get it all together? Sure it is. But it's more than likely he's going to disappoint because that's what he does. So I will let him beat me. He can maybe get underneath. If you do get him underneath, you get him at 12 to 1 or a decent price. but I won't touch him with a 10-foot pole as far as betting him to win. Number 4 is Mage. Mage is my the other choice as a possible win candidate here. I was really impressed by the Haskell. He was not tuned up all the way, and he ran a big effort, and he actually had a chance to win the race. He's got push-button acceleration, which I really like in a horse. And I think that is what separates him from me a little bit from Forte. Forte is more of a grinder, more workmanlike. Mage can kick it in, and that to me gives him the potential to run a bigger race. So if I have to choose between the two, I probably give Mage the nod. So I think it's one of those two. I think he'll be a little off the pace. Tactically, that might be a bit of a disadvantage to him. But I think he has enough talent to overcome it. So Mage, my pick to win the race. Number 5 is National Treasure. You know, we didn't like his Belmont. A lot of people didn't. I thought he ran a lot better than it looked on paper. If you consider a mile and a half probably wasn't a distance he wanted, he hung in there pretty well, and he did so very late in the race. I mean, I know he should finish 6th, but he was right in the race till the very end, fading just late. So I think he showed a lot of grit. Now you're cutting back in distance that's more agreeable to him, where getting on the front end, I think he can control it, and it's going to be a very tall order, of course, to overcome the more prominent horses in this race. But I think he can stick around. Johnny V can control things, and you know, he's got a puncher's chance to take it down. Probably not likely, but underneath, I think he could definitely do. And you know, don't be surprised if he takes a move forward either, and that would certainly give him a better chance to win this. Number 6 is Disarm, and this horse just is one-paced. That's really what the bottom line is. He just kind of runs at the same pace all the way around the track. And I think that's to his detriment. Certainly, the longer the race, the better chance he has. That becomes more of an asset. And in fact, if he had been in the Belmont, he probably could have won the race. But in a race that isn't going to have a lot of speed, that's not going to burn out a lot of other horses, then you just have to think he's just going to run that same pace all the way around the track, which likely can get him underneath, but it's certainly not going to put him over the top. So Disarm, I think you can use comfortably under, but that's the extent of it. Blinkers maybe gets him a little sharper, a little more focused, but I don't think necessarily it's going to improve his prospects. Number 7 is Scotland, and this is kind of the now horse a lot of people talking about. I have to start bringing the optimistic down to earth here. First of all, he is trained by Bill Mott, and that's obviously a big advantage over a lot of other horses. Bill Mott's a Hall of Famer, and he's great with any horse in any medium. However, if you look at the Curlin Stakes, the question is, how did he win it? That's not the question. The question is, how did he not win it? Look at that field. There's a 5-horse field. Il Miracolo finished 2nd. Il Miracolo couldn't get out of his own way in graded stakes on the Derby Trail, and he finished 2nd. Blazing Sevens turned into a paper tiger, as we kind of thought he would. He's run one good race in his life, the Preakness, and that's pretty much it. There was not a great field. Basically, any horse who got on the lead was going to win the race. So let's just understand that right off the bat. Is this horse improving? Sure he is. But you can't look at a race like that and say, oh, wow, he's a world beater, and he's going to set the world on fire in the Travers. It's just not going to happen. First of all, he's not going to get the lead like he did in the last race so easily. National Treasure's going to get that because he's inside, and it's Johnny Velasquez, and that's what he does. So then this one has to rate. Now, can you look at his running lines and show me a race where he's run commensurate to Mage, Forte, or even Disarm? And the answer is no. So this horse, I don't think has any chance in this race, and to me is a very easy toss. So here's what the Travers Pick 6 ticket looks like. In leg 1 in the forego, we're going to use Elite Power and Gunite. I think it's a 2-horse race. I think you could even go so far as to single Elite Power. The last race it just proved Goodnight ran a hell of a race, and Elite Power was just a little better. So I think that was the best chance Goodnight had to beat him. Couldn't do it. I would definitely single Elite Power if you felt strongly about it. High Oak is an alternative to the other two. Is a Bill Mott horse, improving rapidly, and is a kind of a reclamation project for Bill Mott. He excels at these. He'll be running late, and you do get a price. So if for some reason these two cancel each other out in a duel, High Oak might be there to pick up the pieces. Something to think about. In leg 2, in the allowance N1X, on the turf at 5.5 furlongs, we're going to spread. It's a wide open race, I feel. Number 1 is Monet Never. I really like this horse. The maiden win was outstanding. It was an excellent patient ride by Flavian Pratt, and split the wickets in the stretch when necessary to get up, and did so pretty comfortably. Very impressive. Got a career high off the layoff at 3, and you always like to see that. And so I think a move forward is very possible with this one, and hopefully you'll get that 5-to-1 morning line price. I think is a good value. Number 2 is Highly Flammable. Nothing wrong with his form coming into this race, and it's actually a bit of a step down in some ways because the last 2 starter allowances have been extremely competitive fields. Excellent form, no knocks, win candidate. Number 3 is Talkin' Pharaoh. Linda Rice and Jose Ortiz have been red hot at this meet. This horse continues to get better, and while has yet to try turf, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It looks like just a way to get this horse a race because he's in really good form, and I think he's a win candidate here. Number 4 is Southern Horse. We're not sure about the surface switch from the harder, firmer surfaces of the South at Gulfstream and California, but if he does make the transition, certainly has the back class to be competitive here. That's really the only question. I think you have to include him in the event that he does make the transition. So Southern Horse, one you want to use. And number 5 is Immortalization. He's in the 9 hole. Norm Cassie has just been red hot at the meet. Everything he's turning out is running. This one is coming off nearly a year layoff, but the work tab indicates this one really wants a race and is ready to roll. Has been competitive in back class wise prior to the layoff. So with Norm Cassie doing his thing, I think this one's a logical use, and you might get a pretty good price too. On the third leg in the Alan Jerkins, formerly the King's Bishop, 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds. I think it's a 2-horse race. I think it's one of the 2 Baffords. It's Fort Bragg or it's Arabian Lion. I'm going to give Fort Bragg the edge because in his last couple he's had duels down the stretch and has shown a lot of grit, and they were both pretty tough races. If I have to choose between 2 horses, I'll always take the one who shows more heart, and I think that's Fort Bragg. As noted in the past, Arabian Lion to me hasn't shown a lot of heart. But under Bob Baffert, he's become a different horse, or back with Baffert, we should say. He's certainly talented enough to win this race and has the ability. Just not so sure if when he's somebody meets him in the eye, whether or not he'd respond. But I think he's one of the 2. I'm going to give a little bit of an edge to Fort Bragg. For Arabian Lion, very capable of winning this as well. In the Ballerina, leg 4, we're going to single Echo Zulu. I think it's her race to lose. That honorable miss was unbelievable. It was just a phenomenal effort. She does not have to run that well to win this race, but is coming in 3rd off the layoff, and it's pretty exciting to think about how she could run in the race that they actually pointed to, 3rd off the layoff. The 2 worthy horses who you might want to think about are Goodnight Olive, of course, and Wicked Halo. I consider them to be the 2 primary challengers. Goodnight Olive's form has been a little off. She's coming from off the pace and will have every chance, but the Bed of Roses, it looked like she needed everything she had to get up and get past Wicked Halo and Caramel Swirl. And so I just kind of have a feeling she's not quite as sharp as she was last year. Wicked Halo, you have to love. She's in the money every race. She's a hard knocker fighter. She'll be there for sure in the stretch. And if some kind of duel sets up or something goes awry, Wicked Halo at a price is a pretty good alternative. But all things considered, I think it's Echo Zulu's race to lose. In leg 5, the Sword Dancer. I think we got a spread in this one. It's a pretty wide open race. I'll take Stone Age as my primary choice, number 7. If he runs back to his Breeders' Cup Turf form from a year ago, he wins this race. It's the bottom line. Has been overseas for a while and had mixed results there, but that's not always an indication of how good a horse is. We know this. He's back in the hands of Chad Brown. Fully expect this one to run a nice race, win candidate. Bolshoi Ballet just came off a really nice effort in England in the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. Tried to take them all the way on a merry chase and faded late, but stayed on in the race. And I thought it was showed some pretty good form because that was a really stout field she was running in. So back here is a bit of a class relief, actually. And without a lot of pace in this race, I think has the ability to try to wire this field and could very well do it. Number 3 is Pioneering Spirit. This is a big step up from what he generally runs in, but Linda Rice scratched him out of the John's Call to take this one. And it's a big step up to a grade 1, but I think this one is, ever since moving to turf, has become a different horse and has been progressing rapidly. So with another jump, could very well compete in this race. I know Linda Rice would like to get a grade 1 under her belt. It's the only thing she hasn't done in this at this meet so far. But Pioneering Spirit on the upswing, probably going to need to be a little closer to the pace than usual, but I like his chances. Channel Maker number 6, you have to throw in there because there isn't a lot of pace in the race. Could very well wire this field. Just like in the Bowling Green, there was nobody to stop him. So he got the lead and was gone. Could very well be the same thing here. You'll probably get a decent price, hopefully, and one I think you have to use. Number 5 is Verstappen, who's in the 5th hole. This one is disappointed since the Elkhorn. Really hasn't built on it, but will be up near the pace and didn't run badly last time. And if he can make another jump forward, should be tactically right there and have every chance. So we'll throw him in. You probably get a pretty good price. And then finally, as we discussed, the Travers Leg 6. I think this is a 2-horse race. I'm going with Mage and Forte. I think you could, depending on your preference, you might want to single either of them. But I think a Mage, I'm getting a little bit an edge because I just like that way he runs, his running style, a little bit better than Forte. Not quite as much, not as much of a grinder as Forte. He's got that push-button acceleration, and I think that makes him the primary contender to take down the Travers. So here's what the ticket looks like. In leg 1, 2, 3, and if you want to use high oak, I've put it parenthetically. Leg 2, the 8th race, 2, 4, 6, 9, 12. In leg 3, the 9th race, 4, 6. We're going to single Echo Zulu and the Ballerina in the 10th. Then in the Sword Dancer, we're going to spread 3, 4, 7, and 8. And finally, in the Travers, we're going to use Forte and Mage, and I can, if you want to reduce your ticket size, you can use one or the other. Or, in the alternative, you can single Elite Power in the 7th. That would be my suggestion to keep it to an $80 ticket. I'll leave that up to you, but those are the options, as I see them, for the Travers Pick 6. So that's the Pick 6 sequence. It's a dynamite sequence. I mean, 5 Grade 1 stakes races, some great matchups. Really looking forward to seeing that. I'm going to be there, so if you are at Saratoga and you do see me, please come by and say hello. I'd love to meet you, get to know you a little better, even bend an elbow if that's your preference. I'm a pretty big guy, hard to miss, so if you are there, I'd love to see you. If you do like content like this, go on over to redditthewire.com. We've got 2-year-old analysis, daily plays, as well as full card analysis for the weekend. And for this weekend, for the daily play on Saturday, I will include the full Pick 6 ticket with all the races broken down, each horse individually, and analysis of each race, so including the ticket structure. So if that's to your liking, go on over there and pick it up. It'll be available later on today. If you do like what you see here on the YouTube channel, then please like and subscribe. And we do thank all of you who have come on board. Community continues to grow, and I'm loving the comments I'm hearing from you guys. Can't tell you how much I appreciate you all dropping a line. It really makes a big difference, so I thank you for that. We'll continue on with our daily stakes plays at Saratoga, as long as the meet goes on, and we will also continue with those special events in the thoroughbred racing season as they become apparent. We've got the Woodward next weekend at Saratoga, so that'll probably be a pretty hefty stakes card. So we'll look forward to that. So plenty of content that'll be coming from Right at the Wire. So stay tuned right here for all of it. I'll be talking to you in the near future, and until then, be well.